Hi and welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Shea and I've been living in Bologna, Italy for over 2 years. The other day someone asked me an interesting question. They said, do you feel more Italian after living here for 2 years? And I think it's interesting because I haven't really reflected on this, but I think it's something that has happened slowly over time that I haven't even realized certain ways that I have adapted to the culture or maybe changed my daily routines or other things based on me living here after 2 years. I think it's something that I noticed more when I went back to the US and I had that reverse culture shock, because I do think my routines and certain aspects of my day-to-day have changed since living here. But living here, there's always kind of that reminder that you are a foreigner, and I'll probably never feel truly like I fit into this community, which may sound kind of sad, but I mean, it's just natural because I didn't grow up here. So there are always cultural aspects or nuances that I can't quite understand or I just didn't experience because I didn't grow up here as a kid or live through certain events. So I took a moment to reflect on some of the ways that I feel like I've changed. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the certain aspects of my life that I do feel like have become more Italian. So first off, hand gestures and facial expressions. I think I'm someone who actually has always used my hands when I speak because it's actually something that people have commented on before I even moved to Italy. I remember even in high school, some people would be like, you always talk with your hands when you speak. I think it's because my mom does, and my mom always talked with her hands a lot, and so probably I just mimicked that. My mom's side of the family is Italian, so maybe that's where she got it from. But talking with my hands is something I've always done, but now I feel like I have more of some of the Italian hand gestures because, as many of you probably know, in Italy, a lot of people use certain hand gestures to communicate things. Like, you don't even have to say things, but just the way you do a certain gesture is a way of communicating. But of course, like, people always think that this Italian thing, that Italians do this all the time, this doesn't mean what you think it does. Especially Americans, when I say that I live in Italy, they always immediately go like this and they're like, pizza, pasta, but like, this doesn't mean, that's not what that means. Italians don't just talk and have their hand going like this the whole time. Maybe we can do a video about Italian hand gestures because I feel like a lot of people don't understand them, which is fine. If you don't live here, it's totally normal. But Italians don't speak and just do this the whole time that they're speaking. And I don't really use this a lot. Like sometimes I'll do this or like this. This is another hand gesture, but I don't use a lot of the hand gestures. I definitely feel used to some of the cultural tendencies surrounding food. For example, eating dinner later in the evening now is totally normal to me. When I was in the US, I could eat around even 5:30 or 6, but here it's totally normal for me to be eating at like 8 p.m., which is always weird when I go back home and my parents are like, okay, let's start making dinner at 6 or something. For me, I'm like, what? This is weird. But when I first got here, it was really hard because I would get so hungry at around 6 and people aren't eating dinner until like 7:30 or 8. Or even when I make dinner reservations with friends or my boyfriend, we will make reservations at least at 8, maybe even later. I've even had dinner reservations at 9:30, which seems so crazy to an American, but you get used to it after a while. I also eat different meals and foods than I would in the US. I think actually my diet in the US was a lot more diverse, but here in Italy, I feel like their recipes and a lot of things they cook are actually very simple, and that's not a bad thing. I think they use just like very simple ingredients. It's kind of nice because you aren't making these super intricate recipes with all these different ingredients. I kind of like that it's just like more simple. The food basically speaks for itself in the sense that like you're not putting a ton of seasonings because you just have the flavors of the foods themselves. Also, it's totally normal to have pasta here for lunch if you want every day. It can totally be just like a staple lunch food. For me, I didn't eat that much pasta in the US. It was kind of just like if I don't have anything else to eat, I'll have pasta for lunch. Or I know a lot of us will have pasta for dinner, which like people do here if they go out to a restaurant, but it's interesting because I would say that here pasta is more of a lunch food because it's a carb. So during the day you have carbs for lunch because you need that energy through the rest of the day, and you probably wouldn't eat like a huge plate of pasta at night like a lot of us do in the US. So I do feel like I eat more pasta here, which isn't a bad thing. I just kind of adapted to the culture, I guess. And certain food rules, Italians are very specific about their food rules. You can't eat chicken with pasta. That's just like a big no-no. You can't put cheese on seafood pasta. You shouldn't have a cappuccino after 11 because normally you don't have a lot of milk or dairy in the afternoon. Those kind of rules I'm aware of. but I don't necessarily follow them. Because for me, for example, chicken and pasta, meh, that's fine. Like, I will make chicken pesto pasta. I know, sue me. I think for me, I'm like, if it tastes good, it's fine. And no one can really give me an explanation as to why you're not supposed to mix chicken with pasta. Even when I ask my boyfriend, he's just like, you just don't do it. And I'm like, but why? Like, I want to know why. Because if it tastes good, I don't know. Because you put other meats with pasta. You have ragu, you have seafood, but apparently no chicken. We put chicken on pasta in the US all the time. But I don't know. I'm like, if it still tastes good, fine. I guess it's like a rule, but whatever. I do it on my own when I'm by myself. No other Italians are around. I'm in the comfort of my own home. I will make chicken pesto pasta. Another habit is that I don't feel like I rush through meals or like meetups anymore. Dinners, or even just if you meet a friend for breakfast at a cafe, last much longer here, which I think is a good thing. Back in the US, I feel like you're always kind of in a rush. Even when I met friends in Los Angeles, you have your schedule. You're like, okay, we can meet this time, or like we can meet for lunch. I have this lunch break really quick. We can meet up. Like everything is very rushed. And even at the restaurants, the waiters bring you the bill before you're even done eating, kind of like, okay, time to get out of the restaurant. Like everything is very rushed. Here, when one of my friends messages me to get a coffee somewhere, we go to a cafe, we drink a coffee. Then usually we say, oh, you want to go for a walk? Yeah, let's go for a walk. There's no time limit, and I just feel like things are much more relaxed, and I like that. I like not feeling like I have to rush through my time with someone, or that I have to rush through a meal because I only have a certain amount of time in this break. Oh, I have to get to the next thing. One time I did have an American visit me here. She had reached out to me because she was interested in studying here, and we met for a coffee, and I basically was like, okay, I'll probably spend like an hour, maybe even 2 hours with her because she probably has a lot of questions. And we met for a coffee, and I swear it was like 20 minutes. She finished her coffee. She's like, all right, well, I gotta get going. I was like, oh, okay, I forgot where she's still in the like American mentality. Like, this is a quick meeting, pencil that into the calendar, 20 minutes, done. Also, I will say that I feel like my fashion has changed a little bit. I haven't totally redone my wardrobe, but more in the sense of when I go out, I put on a real outfit. I don't put like a ton of thought into it unless I'm going out with friends. I like to kind of dress up. But even if I go to the grocery store or I'm just running an errand, I feel like I have to put real clothes on. Because in the US, you can go out in athleisure, even almost low-key PJs, and that's fine. No one will judge you. Here in Italy, you feel the judgy eyes. You like feel people looking at you and judging you, and even sometimes I'll be wearing something and my boyfriend is like, is that what you're wearing? And I'm like, don't do that. So I feel like Italians are very particular about style and things that are acceptable to wear, but I have adapted to having, I guess, a better style. Although I still like to dress up when I was in LA and in the US, but if I had to run an errand and go to the grocery store real quick, like, if I had sweatpants on, not a big deal. If I just came from a yoga class or something, I can go to the grocery store. Here, also another nice thing is that I spend more time with friends. I see my friends a lot more than I ever did in LA. In LA, it was almost impossible to schedule time to see friends. I saw my friends maybe, if I was lucky, once a month because we all live far away from each other. Even though I had friends who lived still in LA, LA is so big and the traffic is so bad that I had one friend who, I mean, we didn't even live that far away, but it would take me like over an hour just to get to her apartment. So seeing each other had to be like this big event. Here, it's so easy to just meet up with my friends multiple times throughout the week. You don't have to plan ahead weeks in advance saying, are you free this day, next month? You know, like here you can just text and say, hey, you want to get aperitivo, or you want to get dinner tonight? You want to get coffee tomorrow? You want to go for a walk? It's so much easier because I feel like the city's so walkable too, and you can just take, you know, the bus if you live outside of the center. And you don't have to do anything super exciting or unique. Like, you don't have to go to some special event. I mean, I go with my friends all the time just for aperitivo, just to get drinks somewhere. Even just going to the park and doing kind of like a picnic thing. That quality time with friends is so valued and so nice here. Okay, another thing that makes me feel more Italian is that I finally understood and learned slang from Bologna specifically, because every region has their own slang or words that they use, or like dialect obviously, but I haven't learned the dialect because that's like a whole other thing. We're just trying to work on Italian for now. I personally don't really use the words myself because I feel kind of like an imposter. I feel like if I say these words, I don't know, I just feel embarrassed to use them because I know how to use them, I know what they mean, but I just can't do it. I don't know, I just can't do it. The only word I'll use is rusco, which is like the word for trash, because the word for trash in Italian is spazzatura. And so I'll say rusco because it's like, okay, if you're talking about I need to take out the trash, it's just like sometimes it just blends in there, just fits in there. I never say socia, I never say pollage or balota. I never say these words. I don't know if it would be acceptable if I use these words because I just feel like an imposter. But I know what they mean when people use them, and I feel very proud of myself for that. You know you live in Bologna when you understand these words. Maybe I'll start using them. And then finally, I feel very comfortable getting around Bologna and getting around Italy in general. I feel like when you go to a new place that you've never been to before, a new city, you feel like you stick out. It's as if, oh, okay, everyone knows that I don't belong here, that I'm a foreigner, whatever. And I don't get that feeling anymore here. I feel like, okay, this is my city. I feel comfortable here. I know the city center very well because Bologna is relatively small in the center, so you can really get to know it very well, very quickly. So now when I'm going around, I'm like, I know where that is, I know where that is, I know this street, that street. Just feels very comfortable to me now. Even taking the buses, I feel like an expert. A few times I've had to go to appointments outside of the city center, which in the past would really terrify me. And now I'm like, I just take a bus. There was a time I had to take a bus like 30 minutes outside of the center. I was very proud of myself. Did it easy, not intimidated. Even just getting around Italy in general, now taking the trains for me, I love taking the trains. And once you get it down, very easy. And apparently I look confident and like I know what I'm doing because I've had so many people in the train station ask me for directions or ask me to explain something, where something else is when I've been waiting at my platform here in Bologna. So I guess it looks like I know what I'm doing. Maybe I look like I belong here. Overall, I love living in Bologna. I love living in Italy. There are certain aspects of the culture that I haven't experienced. For example, I work remotely as a freelancer. I've never experienced the Italian workplace. That's something I can't really speak to. But I know, unfortunately, a lot of Italians struggle because there's very little opportunity for jobs, and also they just don't pay as well. So I haven't had any work experience here, and so that is like an aspect of the culture that I am missing from my experience. But I do feel like slowly I'm starting to learn more about different aspects of the culture. Even 2 years after being here, I'm still learning new things, still having new experiences. And I will say that it does feel like home now. Whenever I do go back to the US to visit family, I do miss Bologna, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get back to my apartment, my space, because now this has become my home, and I do feel really comfortable here, and for that, I'm really, really grateful to be able to call Bologna my home. And of course, I definitely have difficult times here. It's not perfect. Living in Italy isn't just like perfect dream all the time. I definitely have had my days where I've had my meltdowns, and it's not easy. But overall, I'm happy here, and these cultural differences are totally normal. And I would say in the end, to answer the question, yes, I feel a little bit more Italian, but unfortunately, I will never be truly Italian. But I love Italians, and I think that their culture and their country is amazing. Hopefully you found this video interesting. If you have any other questions, comment them down below and I will be happy to answer them. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and don't forget to also check out my new Italian YouTube channel where I post videos only in Italian, so I will put that in the description as well, and I will see you all next time. Bye!